I'm Shannon Thrasher, and this is 30-Second Tactics. So, a couple more stories. You guys seem to like these, so I'll keep them going until you guys tell me to knock it off or I run out of cool stories. First one's not really a funny story. It's just a really memorable story for me. Many years ago, when I was working private security, I was working a fixed post, and my supervisor, who was working patrol at the time, had just come by at the end of my shift to check on me, say hi, whatever. We were probably going to get a cup of coffee or whatever. And a burglar alarm came out that we monitored. So I hopped in with him and we drove out to check the alarm. This is in downtown LA in the middle of the night. And it was a car stereo store. I'll show you how long ago this was. I don't think car stereo stores exist anymore. But as we pulled up, LAPD was standing at the door, walking away. Now, one of the reasons private security is so prevalent in LA is because the police have such a long response time. It's very rare for them to get to a call before the contracted security. But in this case, they did. And they basically rattled the front door and said, "Oh, it's all clear. See you guys later." And they hopped in their car and drove off. Well, we went up to the door and shined the flashlights in the front door, and it's typical LA business with bars on all the doors and windows. And the first thing we saw when we looked inside was a ceiling tile on the floor. So that's what we call a clue. So we went around the side, hopped the fence, climbed up the little access ladder to the roof to check on the the ceiling and the roof. And sure enough, one of the skylights on the roof had been peeled back. And we look inside, and there's like a suspended ceiling, between the actual roof and the tiles and the ceiling tiles. And there's a bunch of boxes of car stereos piled up there. It looks like, somebody's in there burglarizing the place, and they've stuck all the stuff they're going to steal, and then they'll climb back out and grab it. So we hop back down, get the key holder on the phone, get him to come out, open the front door, and we go in and clear the building. And sure enough, there's our burglar hiding in the bathroom. And we catch him, and we arrest him, and we hook him up. And kind of interesting side note to that, his name was Richard Ramirez. And it wasn't the famous, serial killer Richard Ramirez, but it was, it was the same name. So that's always stuck in my head. And the guy had been in prison for something, I don't remember what, and had been out like 2 weeks, and ended up getting like 2 years for our burglary charge. And then I think he had to go back and do his other 7 years for his parole violation. He had to finish his term. And if you know anything about burglar alarms, depending on which study you believe, something between 1 in 5,000 and 1 in 50,000 burglar alarms are actual burglaries. So that was the first one I ever went to, and it was a real burglary, and we caught the guy. So that one always stuck in my head. So not really a funny story, but a cool story, I think. So another story, this is also an alarm story, but it's a residential burglar alarm goes off. And as is typical, the alarm company calls the house, and the lady answers the phone and says, "Yeah, we were upstairs asleep, and we heard the alarm, and I peeked out at the door, and this house is like multi-floor, but there's like an opening in the center where you can look over the railing and see down into the other floors." I don't know if I'm describing it well, but she could see down to the ground level floor, and the door was open. So she was pretty sure someone had just kicked in her door. So I get there, another unit gets there, and her and her, I think it was boyfriend at the time, maybe husband, are basically upstairs in the bedroom, the door lock, waiting for us to clear the house. So we clear the first floor, we go up and clear the second floor where she's at, and we go and get her and everything. And it was a pretty stormy night, and I think we determined that just, the wind had blown the door, and there wasn't an actual burglar or anything. But the funny part of the story, I thought anyway, is once we'd cleared the place and there's no burglar or anything, the boyfriend, started acting kind of tough, like, "Yeah, I got this. I'm a, macho guy." And she said, "Oh, there's also a lower floor, like a basement. You can't really notice it, but there's a whole other floor down below the ground floor." And so I said, "You want us to go clear that for you before we go, just in case?" And then the boyfriend speaks up, "No, that's okay. I'll go check it," all tough and everything. And without skipping a beat, she looks at him, looks at us, says, "Well, you're the one that was hiding behind the bed." So I just thought that was pretty funny that, once there was a couple cops in there with guns clearing his house and making sure everything was secure, then he was all macho. But when he thought there was a burglar in the house, instead of protecting his woman, he was up in the room with the door locked, hiding behind the bed. So I thought that was funny. So there's a couple quick stories for you guys. Hope you enjoy them. Like I said, let me know if you're liking this style of video, and I'll keep digging through my memory banks. And if I'm boring you with these, let me know, and I'll go back to doing something else. All right, guys, that's all I have for you. As always, work, train, repeat. Stay safe.